was in Lieutenant Weston's office on a routine visit later that morning. Weston promised me some papers on a parole case, but he was having trouble finding them.
John, I suggest you report this to the Bureau of Missing Papers.
Save the punchline for the courtroom, Herb. You'll fracture the jury.
Excuse me, Lieutenant. I'll go quietly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way. It's just that I've been stuck with a dirty job. Excuse me. Weston. Yes, send them in.
You are busy. I'll go.
No, I need your opinion.
A legal problem?
No, let's just say it's a matter of justice. Come in. Sergeant McAvoy, Patrolman Wade. This is Mr. Maris. He's a friend of mine. Mac, Inspector Malone sent me your report on Wade. He asked me to look into it.
Hope you're going to do more than that.
These are very serious charges.
It was a dereliction of duty. Maybe I ought to put it another way. He was just plain yellow.
He's had a good record up until now.
I know his record. #1 student at the academy, recommended by you for detective training.
Larry, have you seen this?
Yes, sir. But it's not true.
Thief got away, didn't he?
Mr. Voltari was in a state of shock.
He looked all right to me.
He was shivering in a cold sweat. His pulse was weak.
What makes you a medical expert?
I took the first aid course at the academy, Sergeant. Mr. Voltari recovered because I gave him prompt treatment.
Your job was not to play doctor. Mrs. Voltari could have taken care of her husband.
She was hysterical, in no condition to help anyone, not even herself. Lieutenant, the assailant had disappeared. Wasn't it my duty to save the victim's life?
Larry, you listen to me. It was your duty to make a wise decision. But according to the report, you exercised poor judgment.
But I didn't.
Supposing Mr. Voltari had died in spite of your first aid, then what would you have had?
But he lived.
That's not the point. That kid couldn't have gotten far by the time you got to the alley. There is a possibility you could have caught him, but evidently that didn't occur to you. I'm sorry, Larry, but this isn't going to help your chances to become a detective.
He should be suspended. Just because he's a smart aleck college boy, there's no reason you should whitewash him.
Mac, I want to talk with Mrs. Voltari and any other witnesses you can dig up.
You're going to let him go with a slap on the wrist?
This is for the inspector to decide. Larry was off duty on the way home from an 8-hour shift to the waterfront. This wasn't even his beat.
His job is to be a policeman 24 hours a day. Instead, he acted like a frightened schoolboy.
Larry.
Yes, sir.
You get on home, get a good night's rest. I'll talk to you in the morning after I speak to Inspector Malone.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mac, that's all. See what I mean, Herb? You know, they make it rough on these boys at the academy. Give them every type of physical and psychological test to make sure they've got the right one. I thought he was great material.
You can't persuade McAvoy to drop the charges.
Oh, I doubt it, Herb. Now, McAvoy's a good policeman, don't get me wrong. But all he knows are the rules in the book.
I see what you mean by being stuck with a dirty job. You lower the boom on Larry and you lose a potentially good officer. Give him a break and McAvoy accuses you of favoritism. Is there anything I can do?
No, I'm afraid there isn't. This is a departmental matter. You can't interfere.
I thought you wanted my advice.
Well, I needed an impartial opinion.
Well, look, he acted out of human instincts. You can't punish him for saving a man's life.
Herb, if Wade were a civilian, his actions would have been praiseworthy. But as a police officer, he's obligated to act on the basis of reasoning as well as instinct, and sometimes in spite of it.
Isn't there anything you can do?
Yes, there is. One thing. Find that hoodlum before he pulls another job. It may help Larry's position.
Mind if I tag along?
Why?
Well, as a taxpayer, I'm interested in saving a potentially good officer for the force, and I'm interested in protecting the innocent.
You don't say.
Including innocent police lieutenants caught in dilemmas, unless you don't want my moral support.
Counselor, you just got yourself a new client. Come on.
John, you got your gun?
Of course.
Where's your hat?
When Larry Wade was 12, his father died. Came in here for a job, helped support his mother and his kid brother Pete. Worked through high school and college.
Did anyone help the family?
The mother worked nights as a waitress. All Larry thought of was his family and becoming a policeman. People around here thought a lot of him. Well, this is a poor neighborhood. Kids don't have many advantages. A lot of them turn bad. Lieutenant Weston will tell you.
Highest juvenile delinquency rate in the city, right here.
So when Larry Wade not only stays straight, but becomes an officer, well, that's something to cheer about. Oh, Mrs. Volteri.
Oh, hello.
Hello, Mrs. Volteri.
Oh, hello, Mr. Norwood.
How's your husband?
It's a miracle. Yesterday he was on the ground dying. Today he's sitting up, drinking soup.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I got to go to work now, Mrs. Volteri. I'll see you later.
Okay.
Mrs. Volteri, I'm Lieutenant Weston of the police. This is Mr. Maris.
Hello.
What did the doctors say?
Oh, when I told him about it, they said the young cop may have saved my husband's life.
Did they say he was in a state of shock?
Exactly those words. Oh, mister, you should give that young fella a medal.
Mrs. Volteri, would you come down to headquarters and tell this to Inspector Malone?
Why, sure, anything to help.
Well, you can help, Mrs. Volteri. I have a police officer outside. He's a sketch artist. I'd like you to give him a complete description of the criminal. Then we can make a composite, and the sooner we get one out, the sooner we'll find him.
Oh, I got a good look at him. Till the day I die, I'll never forget that face. Yeah, that's him, all right.
You sure this is what he looked like?
Yeah.
Blonde hair, square features, brown eyes, medium small.
Oh, about the color of the eyes, I'm not sure.
How tall would you say he was?
Tall? Well, how tall is a man?
Well, would he be as tall as I am? Or say shorter than Mr. Maris here, about 5'11"?
Lieutenant! Mrs. Volteri.
Hello.
Say, I found a truck driver who unloaded concrete up here this morning about 8:30. Saw a kid in a black jacket hightailing it over a fence. Is the kid?
Yeah.
Oh. Carl! Come here! No, Lieutenant. I've seen this kid around here on a motorcycle.
Hi, Mike.
Carl, take a look at that sketch.
I can't believe it. I just can't.
Who is he?
This is terrible. Terrible. Just about kill his mother.
All right, Carl, tell me who he is.
Peter Wade. Larry's kid brother.
Are you sure?
Yep. Mother bought him a motorcycle a couple of months ago for a job delivering blueprints. Only lasted a week. Maybe he needed money to show off the girls. He's that kind of boy.
Could be that Larry deliberately let his brother escape.
It could be there's another kid that looks like Peter Wade.
Carl, do you think that Pete Wade is capable of this crime?
Well, he's never been a steady kid. Not at all like Larry.
You mean this thief is the brother of the officer? And you wanted me to go downtown and help him? You're going to do something about this. I hope you must. This is terrible.
Don't you worry, Miss Volteri. We're going to do something about it. Heard?
Back. Thanks, Carl.
Oh.
But, Lieutenant, this is only a sketch. Mrs. Voltari was hysterical. How can you trust her description?
Larry, a truck driver backed her up. He wasn't hysterical.
Mrs. Wade, where is Peter now?
He left the house early this morning on his motorcycle.
Where's Pete's room, Mrs. Wade?
It's in here, Sergeant. I'll show you. His suitcase and his clothes are gone, sir.
What more proof do you want, Lieutenant?
Larry, why did you let him get away?
I didn't.
Lieutenant, you can't think that about Larry.
Mrs. Wade, Lieutenant Weston will see that Larry gets a fair hearing.
Mrs. Wade, Larry has made a lot of sacrifices for you. Now, don't you think he'd look the other way to spare you grief and his brother a prison term?
No. Larry took the oath of a police officer. I know my boy, Lieutenant. He wouldn't break his word.
Mrs. Wade, I'm afraid there's a lot you don't know about your boys. Either one.
Lieutenant Weston, you're judging me by circumstantial evidence. That's unfair.
Don't you call me unfair. I've leaned over backwards to give you every break. When a police officer commits a crime, he blackens the name of all of his fellow officers. Sergeant, place him under arrest.
On what charge?
Accessory to his brother's crime after the fact. Withholding information and obstructing justice.
Okay, Professor. Hand over your gun and your badge.
You still interested in my opinion, John?
I think I know what your opinion is. But the facts speak for themselves. Hope they throw the book at him. Make an example in front of the whole department.
This is no longer a case of departmental discipline. It's a matter of justice.
Herbert Maris, counselor at law. Lifting dumbbells in a ladies' gymnasium, and I missed it.
I knew you'd be jealous. It's your own fault, John. I was just following Larry's hunch that his brother's still in the city. If you'd shown a little more faith in my client, I would have taken you along.
Now, wait a minute. Did you want me to take his advice?
John, if you were a fugitive, would you take to the highway on a motorcycle?
So I'd hold up in town, but where? Well, Pete's picture is in every paper. The whole force is out looking for him.
If we don't find Pete, what will that mean for Larry?
Oh, dismissal from the force, a year in jail?
But he's innocent.
Can you prove that?
I think I can, if we find Pete. I'll be in my office. I got your message. Have you heard from him?
He looks like a cop.
This is Lieutenant Weston. What did Pete say?
Said he loved me. Couldn't live without me.
Forget the soap opera stuff, huh?
Why are all you cops so grouchy? Okay. I'm to buy 2 tickets. Private compartment for the Chicago train tomorrow morning at the Oakdale station. He figures you characters won't look for a guy with a girl.
You'll go through with this. You're not afraid.
Me, Mrs. Stakeout? Man, I bet it'll be a real wild swinging party.
Unless you want to get in the car, we'll take you home.
How about taking Larry?
No.
John, Pete's bound to have a gun, and if he gets nervous, that depot could be a shooting gallery. Larry unarmed could throw him off balance.
Well, I'll speak to the inspector about it.
Give him a break, John. It's time he got one.
Without any help from you. Don't move! Any of you! Pete, don't try to shoot your way out of this. The whole depot's staked out. I'm not giving myself up! Pete, the old man's all right. Most he'll get is reform school. Shoot somebody now, and you'll get the gas chamber. Pete. Stay away, Larry. I'm warning you. Pete, give me the gun.
Turn around. All right, let's go.
Wait a minute. Pete, did you see Larry in the alleyway after you robbed the old man?
No. I didn't see him, he didn't see me. If he had, he'd have arrested me. The day he became a cop, he stopped being my brother.
Why did you rob? Because of Penny?
No. That was just part of it. Everybody was talking about him. Ma, the neighbors, Mr. Norwood. Big shot policeman. Gonna be a big shot detective. But he'll never make it now. I guess I fixed that.
Well, McAvoy.
Okay. I withdraw my charges. Come on. Keep an eye on you, son. If you make detective, you'll make it the hard way.
That's the only way I want it, Sergeant.
Well, Herb, I must admit, for a while I was a little worried about our client.
John, you were the only client I was really worried about.